Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, the listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. All right, we're doing something a little different this weekend again. It's just me this morning. I do not have a special guest, but I have some significant questions. And I would assume that these are common questions that everyone else has. And everyone else puts a simple answer on it and just says, oh, well, hell, that's the government. Okay, here's the difference for me is that I know these people. And it just completely bumfuddles me why they do some of the things they do. All right. What am I talking about? Well, right now I'm talking about water issues. You've listened to us talk so much on here about water issues, and this program started 25 years ago trying to straighten out what's true and what's not true about water issues. At the time, we were talking about groundwater conservation districts, and I promised you that part of the not true propaganda was that, they're fixing to come put a meter and charge you for the well that's at your house. That was not true. That was not true 25 years ago. It's not true now. And I promised you back in, I would keep my finger on it. Because I know so many people believe this and know that, anytime legislature's in session, that bunch of yahoos is liable to pass anything. Trust in that organization, trust in the legislature is just pretty much shot. There's, what they amounted to in this last session, I compared it to cleaning coons out the attic. If you got raccoons in your attic, you run them out and you fix the hole. And that's really about all they did this last session. All the concerns about DEI and transgender and all those that stuff is so stupid that it just reminds me of chasing varmints out the attic. That's all it amounts to. This don't take no great amount of brains to fix those problems. There's a whole lot more significant things that needed to be addressed and that just fall by the wayside. But, okay, so there's no sense in me just wrangling on about the legislature. We're talking about water issues, and it occurred to me there's people who have been in state agencies and NGOs and other people older than me that absolutely should have the same knowledge that I have, the same experiences that I've had, more experiences than I would have had trying to run around doing interviews every week. People who are engaged in everything that goes on in water issues and who, for some reason, their communications departments are just non-existent or made up of DEI hires, or I don't know what they are, but for some reason the information doesn't come out. The environmental technology information doesn't come out. We are surrounded by technology that keeps our air clean, keeps our water clean, and and is constantly looking for improvements, soil conservation, all of that. We're surrounded by technology that has improved so much over the last 40 years, and you don't hear about it. You don't hear about it, and it really starts you look at these conservation groups, the NGOs, some of them the hunting and fishing based NGOs. I always preach about North American Wildlife Conservation Model is the foundation of all conservation, wildlife conservation, and that is the bedrock foundation. There's a lot of other conservation that goes on. There's a lot of other stuff that people can do besides hunt and fish. Absolutely. And, why don't these people come forward and applaud the environmental technology that affords us the lifestyle that we live today? That just makes absolutely no sense to me. And I particularly, I see people getting awards and, they're getting old. Hell, they're older than me. The state or somebody decides we better give this old bugger an award before he kicks the bucket. And, so they give them all these awards, and yet the general public is woefully ignorant of really what they've done or what has been done. And, okay, I'll give you this. A lot of this environmental technology did not come from state agencies. The grandest part of it comes from the oil patch. And that's probably why, that right there. And why? Why? Because state agencies hate private enterprise. That's the only thing I can come up with. Your state and federal people who have lived the entirety of their life as bureaucrats, as being taken care of with all the benefits bestowed upon them by taxpayers, do not like the idea that private enterprise could do a better job than they do. It's unproven in many instances. It is proven in some instances. But the fact that the environmental technology is not put on a pedestal and thanked, given the proper amount of thanks, that's wrong. That is just wrong. And if these people who are getting awards as these wonderful lifelong conservationists, if they were honest, they would stand up and show people, hey, this is the reason we have what we have. This is the reason we have the lifestyle we have. The reason people in Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, all your metropolitan areas that have water treatment plants and recycle their water, this technology came from, separation sciences. And we should appreciate that. We should know about it. We should appreciate it. We should be cognizant and know there is such a thing as toilet to tap. That water in major cities gets recycled over and over and over again. And that it's this is old hat. This is something that's been done forever, for ages. Water process technologies is as old as mankind. Cleaning up water is as old as mankind. And it was particularly eye-opening and somewhat hurtful to me when, after 25 years of waiting for desal to become a reality, all of a sudden people were questioning it about, what do you do with the discharge? And it's just ridiculous. The question is ridiculous because it can be cleaned up. You don't want to just I understand. You don't want to take the discharge, just dump it back in the bay right there where you're fishing. No. But it can be cleaned up and it can be reused. It can be another source. In 1984, the Bryan Mound Strategic Oil Reserve was built. and the salt dome was drilled out. When you drill it out, you have a supersaturated concentrate of water coming back up out of that salt dome as you drill it out. The technicians that I interviewed in accordance with this said to their best memory, that water, the chlorines and chlorides were taken out of that and used. We've had this technology since, they were using it in 1984. Now that tells me that I was out of college. The technicians I was talking to were out of college. They're all about my age, a little older. I also know there's state agency people older than that should have known about this and known that these environmental technologies exist. And to come up now and to say that, they're concerned about managing discharge on the prescribed desal plants that we're thinking about now, there's something dishonest there. Ignorant and dishonest. I'll tell you what, we're going to talk more about this in the second half. I'll be right back.